Hi, I'm Colleen Pearl the Cool Crone and happy Beltane. This video will be about the astrology from April 30th until May 16th. Today we are going to talk about all the astrology that takes place between April 30th, when we have or had a new moon solar eclipse, to May 16th, when we have a full moon lunar eclipse. The overall theme for this period between the eclipses comes down to Venus and her aspects to the slower moving planets. Venus is swimming in Pisces, moving towards Aries, and touches Jupiter and Pluto on her way. Her rulership over the sun in Taurus lends a calming effect to everything happening here, and I hope will bring out better outcomes for the peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. Now, Mercury goes retrograde on May 10th, which will cause certain things to be revisited and other things to be misunderstood. While in Gemini, Mercury may not be taken too seriously, but when in Taurus, the consequences and fallout could be deadly serious. Needless to say, this is a critical period for everyone on the planet. On April 30th, we had or will have a solar eclipse in Taurus at 10 degrees involving Uranus and Mars. The eclipse in Taurus could affect our food supply, our banking systems, real estate markets, and our personal feelings about our bodies. Be sure to watch my video all about the eclipse, even if it's past, because the effects of an eclipse many times and most often take place after the eclipse has occurred. Now we're going to talk about planetary ingresses. On May 2nd, Venus will enter Aries, and that's a big shift from Pisces. And on May 10th, Jupiter enters Aries. Now, this is similar to what we felt in 2021, when we had Jupiter in Aquarius and it dipped its toe into Pisces for a few months. The same thing is happening here. It's been in Pisces, and now it's going to dip into Aries for a few months. It'll return to Pisces ever so slightly, but then it's going to go full force into Aries by the end of the year. The retrograde planets are few, but important. Pluto will be retrograde all month at around 28 degrees of Capricorn. Pluto went retrograde the day before the eclipse, April 29th. Mercury will station retrograde on May 10th at 11:47 Eastern Daylight Savings Time at 4 degrees Gemini, 51 minutes. Now, we're going to talk about Mercury in depth at the end of the planetary aspects. On April 30th, Venus will be conjunct Jupiter, and you can see this in the sky if you get up early enough. Venus and Jupiter will both be at 27 degrees Pisces, 57 minutes. And this means love, love, and more love. So mingle or surf to find that quirky someone who just may be exactly what you didn't know you were looking for. Also, this indicates that we may have many heroes and helpers among us. This aspect could be reflected on the world stage as far as large organizations go, such as the WHO, the UN, NATO, etc. By making surprising decisions and taking action due to the eclipse, but using the military to present a strong defense to hold back actual military aggression. In other words, NATO forces from many countries could present a united force by blocking Russia from inflicting their anti-humanitarian actions against Ukraine and never presenting an actual attack on Russia. Now, Venus and Jupiter are both in harmonious aspect with Pluto, the ultimate in power, especially nuclear power. In fact, most of the aspects following the eclipse are fairly positive and should result in a show of force for peace rather than violent aggression. This whole 2-week period could herald great progress in the quest for peaceful resolution to the problems in Ukraine. And you may have noticed in the news that it's already being foreshadowed. The NATO countries are already flooding Ukraine with humanitarian and military aid. On May 1st, Venus will sextile Pluto. Venus will be at 28 degrees Pisces 35, and Pluto will be at 28 degrees Capricorn 35. And all I have to say about this is, deviant much? Venus loves a bad boy. And luckily, this is only a sextile, so you will be able to love them from afar if need be. You won't actually sacrifice yourself on the altar of the Pluto person's ego. Now, this aspect is terribly important because later on in this 2-week period, we have an aspect with Lilith, and that also talks about deviancy. On May 3rd, we have Jupiter sextile Pluto, just like Venus did, because they're in the same place. Jupiter will be at 28 degrees 4 minutes Pisces, and Pluto will still be at 28 degrees 35 Capricorn. Jupiter expands the nuclear power of Pluto and gives just a whisper of softness. Conversely, Pluto will intensify the Jupiter impulses, making them seem obsessive. Obsession is Pluto's middle name. So you will find that this all is a bit too much to handle. Any relationships started now, no doubt, will have commitment issues. And not that someone will not want to commit, but someone will want too much of a commitment. Do you remember Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob wearing those necklaces filled with each other's blood? Yeah, that kind of commitment. Now on May 4th, we have Mars sextile Uranus and Venus square Lilith. This is the one I was talking about. So on the 4th, let's see, Mars will be at 12 degrees Pisces, 19 minutes, and Uranus will be at 14 degrees Taurus, 34 minutes. This brings explosions and brilliant ideas. You may be inspired to engage in anarchy or extreme political movements. So perhaps hold back on this day from joining that impromptu insurrection. Alternatively, a deep dive into engineering, construction, or other builder-related fields may yield genius results. And if you're an athlete, this is the day to break all your own records. With Venus square Lilith, Venus will be at 2 degrees Aries, 11 minutes. Lilith will be at 2 degrees Cancer, 11 minutes. And at this time, your interest and desire in sex increases, due, unfortunately, to feelings of suppression and rejection. You may have recently been rejected, or you may have felt like you were rejected and are struggling to assert your independence within relationships. The reason I point this out so strongly is because we have so much emphasis on Pluto in these 2 weeks, and Pluto is obsession, and it couples and sextiles with Venus, which is attraction, love. Right? So you do have to be very careful at this time. And the way to avoid this becoming a really bad thing for you is to open up to your deepest desires. Really be honest with yourself about what you want. And honestly, what you decide to reveal to other people is your own business, but take the time to redefine what you want from relationships and from yourself. It's a really good time to do that. Now on May 5th, the sun will conjunct Uranus. The sun will be at 14 degrees 47 Taurus. Uranus will be at 14 degrees 47 Taurus. That's a conjunction. So people right now will be very, very independent, very unconventional and radical under this aspect, and to the point where they don't even want to hear anybody else's opinion. Extreme behavior can happen now. So just realize that people want to be different and show their uniqueness, but they also want to be teachers, mentors, and examples to others. They may have trouble with authorities now, but hear them out because there could be a good intention buried under all their rhetoric. On May 6th, Mercury will sextile Venus. Mercury will be at 1 degree Gemini 17, and Venus will be at 28 degrees 35 minutes Pisces. This harmonious aspect gives people balance, charming manners, and wisdom for days. So this is an excellent time for educating others, maybe some of those people who are a bit too unconventional in the aspect above, and for communication in general. On May 7th, we have the sun sextile Mars. Now the sun will be at 16 degrees Taurus, 11 minutes, and Mars will be at 16 degrees Pisces, 49 minutes. Now, this gives you a lot of energy and get up and go for achieving your goals. You may find yourself a bit restless, but all in all, this is a harmonious aspect, which will have you tackling jobs that require a little manual labor to burn off all that energy, which is a good thing. Make sure you make use of this aspect and don't just lay on the couch all day. Otherwise, you will be so restless with all that pent-up energy. On May 13th, we have the Sun conjunct the North Node. Sun will be at 22 degrees 31 Taurus, and so will the node. So if you have a planet at 22 degrees of any of the Earth or fixed signs, now the Earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, and the fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. If you have any planets at around 22 degrees of any of those signs, you will feel this very keenly. For the Earth signs, you will be wondering, thinking, and musing about how you have used your body, what is your security, and how all of that comes together for your life's purpose. It'll be an interesting time for you. For the fixed sign people, you will find that life pulls you in the direction of handling things concerning your money, security, and your body. And despite any reluctance on your part, you will be put in situations where you can test yourself about these areas of life. On May 14th, we have Mars sextile node. Now, Mars will be at 23 degrees Pisces, 8 minutes, and the node will be at 22 degrees Taurus, 23 minutes. Fortunately, this aspect follows the Sun conjunct node, which will provide you vigor and determination to help you achieve your goals. So you may be surprised by how willing you are to fight for your passions. Lots of energy this 2-week period towards achieving your goals and life's mission. Now on May 15th, we have 3 aspects to talk about. We have the Sun square Saturn. Sun will be at 24 degrees Taurus 56, and Saturn will be at 24 degrees Aquarius 55 minutes. And this aspect actually creates 2 groups of people. People in the first group tend to give up when they encounter problems. When people in the second group encounter problems, they get stimulated by them and perform better. So people in the first group tend to have lower self-esteem, but this can be improved by doing good work. So for the people in the first group, what I advise is to tackle something on this day that you know you actually can achieve. And it doesn't have to be a real high level risk or anything, just something that you know you can do, repair the chair or something. And once you repair it, once you achieve it, pat yourself on the back for that and set yourself another goal that you know you can achieve. And throughout the day, continue to do things that you know that you can do so that you don't succumb to this feeling of failure, of lack. That's just not a positive use of this aspect. And it doesn't need to result in you feeling bad about yourself. It can actually result in you being put into the second group, the group of people who perform better and get stimulated by challenges. The next aspect on this day that we want to talk about is the Sun sextile Neptune. The Sun is still at 2456 Taurus. Neptune is at 2456 Pisces. Imagination will be running high, as will your intuition, your spirituality, and your sense of harmony. This is a great time for socializing because relationships benefit from good manners and generosity. And after some of the aspects that we've had where people have been a little unruly and unconventional, this show of good manners and generosity will be welcome and make it feel like you're back in civilized society. You may feel like daydreaming about all your goals, but if you surround yourself with great friends, you can accomplish concrete actions toward achieving what you want. This is also a great day for charitable giving. And then we have Venus conjunct Chiron, with Venus at 15 degrees Aries 4 minutes and Chiron at 14 degrees Aries 45 minutes. This aspect comes with the opportunity to embrace our vulnerability and heal our heart. Now that Chiron is in Aries, these feelings of brokenness and inadequacy are about the very foundation of who we are. Aries is, after all, the sign of identity. Basically, with Chiron in Aries, we feel like there's something wrong with us. But these feelings of shame, brokenness, and inadequacy are exactly what will eventually trigger us to figure out what's wrong and to ultimately heal. So let's talk about Chiron. Chiron is the key to the zodiac. When Chiron makes an aspect to another planet, it unlocks its secrets and it reveals something that was heretofore hidden, overlooked, or misunderstood. Chiron is also the bridge of the zodiac because it links the visible planets, the planets we can see up to Saturn, to the invisible transpersonal planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Chiron has three functions in astrology. First, it makes us aware of what hurts and brings this pain to the surface. This is the wounded healer phase. Second, Chiron heals the wound. Perhaps you're familiar with the terms purging or healing crisis. This happens only if we become aware of the wound. If the wound remains unconscious, the healing never takes place. And third, Chiron transforms the wound into a gift. Once the wound has been healed, it can finally reveal its gifts. Shyness transforms into quiet confidence. Anger becomes passion. Lack of self-worth becomes emotional maturity. Chiron is important for our personal maturation and spiritual evolution in this lifetime. So I mentioned before that Mercury stations retrograde on May 10th at 11:47 Eastern Daylight Savings Time at 4 degrees Gemini, 51 minutes. It travels backwards after that date until May 22nd, when it finally re-enters Taurus at 30 degrees or 29:59 minutes of Taurus, and continues to travel backwards in Taurus until it reaches 26 degrees on June 3rd, at which point it stations, waits for a bit, takes a breath, as it were, and then returns forward motion and leaves off messing up our lives until the next Mercury retrograde. So look at your chart for the area that covers from 26 Taurus up to 4 degrees of Gemini. This is the area that will be affected by this Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde will be in force during the lunar eclipse on May 16th. So look for mishaps, communications, mistakes, etc., concerning long-term relationships where people deeply trust one another. Ouch. This one can cause some rifts between partners that cannot be healed easily or with a simple apology. When Mercury goes retrograde in one of the signs it rules, chatty social Gemini, the usual Mercury retrograde mishaps can become even more of a nuisance than they normally are. Anything involving writing, speaking, teaching, or learning could get especially dicey when these two team up. It's a good idea to double or even triple check our work when Mercury retrogrades in Gemini. Since Mercury and Gemini are connected to siblings and community, we'll want to watch out for misunderstandings with a brother, a sister, or neighbor. Mercury and Gemini are also associated with transportation and short distance travel. Experiencing frustrations in these areas of our lives is also likely during Mercury retrograde. Road work or car trouble? Yep, just another fun side effect of this planetary event. So Mercury retrograde can put a crimp in our plans, and it makes having a simple conversation more difficult than it should be. But this could also be a period of necessary reevaluation. With our minds being forced to slow down, this is the perfect time to take another look at specific areas of our lives that we've been overlooking. So look in your chart for where you have 26 degrees of Taurus up to 4 degrees of Gemini, and maybe even a few degrees earlier than that and later than that. That is the area of life that is going to be affected by this Mercury retrograde. Now, I want to tell you again, just the general rules of the road for how to handle Mercury retrograde. And this is a very, very simplified list of things to do. Hold off signing important documents. Review or rethink major decisions. Return to incomplete projects and finish them. Review, repair, or return items, issues, and projects. Go within. Meditate on things you feel are not working. Reflect on why things are happening the way they are, and allow your expectations to shift. That last one is probably the most important impact that Mercury retrograde can have in your life. When you allow yourself to shift your perspective, you're growing, you're maturing. And that is why we are here on this planet, to grow. If you have any other questions about Mercury retrograde, I would suggest that you watch my series on Mercury retrograde, which focuses specifically on the retrogrades for 2022, because all of the retrogrades start in air signs and move backwards back into earth signs. It's a significant year, and it's an unusual phenomena for Mercury to behave in this way. All right, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the May 16th full moon lunar eclipse at 25 degrees Scorpio, 18 minutes. So this is occurring at 12:14 EDT. I doubt any of you will be up for it. I might be, I'm not sure. I know in some countries they stay awake and stand in the river during an eclipse because they think it's a very holy event. And in fact, a lot of kings are born during an eclipse, or queens, or princes, or princesses, or whatever. Important people can be born during an eclipse. That's a whole other series that I already did. So take a look for that video as well. So stay tuned for the video on this full moon lunar eclipse. It will be coming in the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And most of all, thank you for being one of my subscribers. I get so much joy out of reading your comments and responding to you every time. I hope you found this video useful. Please leave me some comments, and I'll see you next time.